A cruel millionaire forced his cleaner wife to serve at his luxury gala to humiliate her. When she sat at the grand piano, the elite guests were left trembling by what happened next. Nathan Reed's exclusive dinner party at the Golden Crown restaurant was in full swing, with Boston's elite gathered around the massive mahogany table. Emma, his wife of 10 years, moved quietly between the guests, serving wine. Her simple black dress stood in stark contrast to the designer outfits worn by the other women. "More wine, Mrs. Reed?" Victoria Chase, Nathan's young associate, smirked as she held out her crystal glass. Her perfect makeup and elegant red dress made Emma feel even more out of place. "Of course," Emma replied softly, leaning forward with the bottle. That's when it happened. Victoria shifted suddenly, causing Emma to lose her balance. The red wine splashed across Victoria's expensive dress. "You clumsy fool!" Victoria jumped up, her hand instinctively going to her stomach. "Do you know how much this dress costs? And in my condition?" She stopped abruptly, her eyes widening in horror. The room fell silent. Nathan's face darkened with rage. "Your condition?" he asked, his voice dangerously low. Emma stepped back, the empty wine bottle trembling in her hands. She'd known about the affair. Everyone did. But this was different. Victoria was pregnant with her husband's child. "Dad, stop!" Marcus, Nathan's teenage son, stood up. "It was an accident. And maybe if you didn't make Emma work as a servant at your parties." "Shut up." Nathan slammed his hand on the table. "You don't understand anything about the real world, boy. Your stepmother insists on working as a cleaning lady at that pathetic nursing home. Well, if she loves serving others so much, she can serve my guests too." From the corner of the room, an elderly man with silver hair observed the scene with keen interest. David Anderson, the renowned conductor, had seen enough young talents destroyed by toxic relationships to recognize the signs. There was something about Emma that seemed familiar. "In fact," Nathan continued, his voice full of malice, "since my dear wife loves serving others so much, I have an announcement. Next week, we're hosting the annual charity gala at our mansion. Emma will be part of the cleaning staff for the evening." The guests shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Even Victoria looked troubled. "Dad, you can't," Marcus started. "I can and I will." Nathan's eyes gleamed with cruel satisfaction. "It's time everyone sees my wife for what she really is, nothing but a common servant who got lucky." Emma stood there, wine stains on her hands, feeling the weight of everyone's stares. But instead of shame, she felt something else stirring inside her, a quiet strength she thought she'd lost long ago. Maestro Anderson stepped forward, his presence commanding attention. "Mr. Reed, perhaps." "Save your concern, Maestro," Nathan cut him off. "You don't know my wife like I do. 10 years ago, she was just a naive heiress who needed someone to manage her family's fortune. Now look at her, choosing to scrub floors when she could be living like a queen." Emma's mind drifted back to that time, 10 years ago, when everything changed. Before Nathan, before her parents' death, before she lost her music. As the memories flooded back, she realized how far she'd fallen, and how much she'd lost along the way. "The gala is next Friday," Nathan announced to the room, "and my wife will show everyone exactly where she belongs, serving those who know how to properly manage wealth and status." As Emma walked away to get cleaning supplies for the spilled wine, she caught Maestro Anderson's concerned gaze. There was something in his eyes, recognition perhaps? But that was impossible. Her life as a promising pianist had ended long ago, buried beneath years of Nathan's systematic humiliation. Little did anyone know, this dinner was just the beginning. The upcoming gala would change everything, bringing long-buried secrets to light and forcing everyone to face the truth they'd been hiding from themselves. 10 years earlier, Emma Thompson sat beside her father's bed in the Thompson mansion, playing his favorite Bach piece on the small keyboard they'd moved to his room. Her mother lay in the adjacent room, both parents growing weaker each day despite their wealth and access to the best medical care. "That's beautiful, sweetheart," her father whispered, his voice fragile. "Promise me you'll never stop playing." "Save your strength, Dad," Emma said, fighting back tears. "The new financial consultant is coming today. He might have solutions for the company's situation." The doorbell rang. Nathan Reed entered the study, his portfolio tucked under his arm. Even then, he carried himself with calculated confidence. "Miss Thompson," he greeted, his eyes taking in every detail of the room. "I've reviewed the company's financials. We should discuss some urgent matters." Over the next few weeks, Nathan became indispensable. He worked late hours, brought homemade soup for Emma's parents, and showed genuine concern for the family's welfare. Or so it seemed. "The experimental treatments are draining the company's resources," Nathan explained one evening. "But I've found some promising investment opportunities that could help." Emma noticed her parents' health declining faster after switching to new medications. A nurse, Catherine Morrison, asked too many questions and was promptly replaced at Nathan's insistence. "It's for the best," Nathan assured Emma. "We need people we can trust." One rainy morning, Emma's father called her to his room. "Something's not right," he muttered, his eyes clearer than they'd been in weeks. "The documents, check the safe in my office." Before he could finish, he started convulsing. Within hours, both her parents were gone. Emma was devastated. Nathan took control of the funeral arrangements, the company matters, everything. "You need to rest," he insisted. "Let me handle the details." An older man approached Emma at the funeral. "I'm George Williams," he said quietly. "I knew your father from—" Nathan appeared suddenly, steering Emma away. "Gold diggers and opportunists," Nathan warned. "They'll try to take advantage of you now." The following months passed in a blur. Nathan consolidated his position at Thompson Pharmaceuticals, presenting documents requiring Emma's signature. "Your father wanted the company in capable hands," Nathan explained. "These investments will secure your future." Emma found comfort in Nathan's strength and decisiveness. When he proposed 6 months after her parents' death, she accepted. The mansion felt too empty, too full of memories. "You'll never have to worry about anything," Nathan promised. "I'll take care of everything." George Williams watched the small wedding ceremony from afar, his expression troubled. Nathan noticed him and made a phone call. Security escorted George out. Emma didn't notice. She was too focused on starting her new life, trying to forget the pain of loss. The grand piano in the mansion's living room gathered dust. Every time she thought of playing, she remembered her father's last unfinished warning. "We should move the piano to the basement," Nathan suggested after their honeymoon. "It takes up too much space, and you hardly play anymore." Emma agreed. She had stopped playing after her parents' death. The music brought back too many memories. Nathan seemed pleased with her decision. What Emma didn't know was that Nathan had already begun transferring her family's assets, using the documents she'd signed in her grief. The Thompson fortune was slowly being restructured under his control. At their wedding reception, a woman watched from across the street. Catherine Morrison had just started her first job as a lawyer, but she hadn't forgotten her suspicions about the Thompsons' deaths. She made a note in her small notebook and walked away. The empire of lies was already being built, brick by brick, and Emma had no idea she was standing at its foundation. Emma discovered Sunshine Haven during one of her morning walks. The nursing home needed volunteers, and something about the old building called to her. Despite Nathan's objections, she signed up to help. "These people have no one," Emma explained to Nathan over breakfast. "I can't just walk away." "You're a Reed now," Nathan snapped. "My wife shouldn't be cleaning bedpans." But Emma went anyway. At Sunshine Haven, she found purpose in the small things. Making beds, serving meals, listening to stories. The residents' faces lit up when she entered a room. Here, she wasn't Nathan Reed's wife, she was just Emma. One morning while cleaning the recreation room, she heard piano music. An elderly resident sat at the old upright piano, playing Chopin. "That's beautiful," Emma said. The man turned. "George Williams, and you must be the new volunteer everyone's talking about." "You play wonderfully," Emma said, fighting the urge to touch the keys. "So do you," George replied. Emma froze. "Oh yes, I know who you are. I attended your performances at the conservatory." Before Emma could respond, Victoria Chase walked in. Emma had seen her at Nathan's office parties, but never here. "I'm visiting my grandmother," Victoria explained quickly, looking uncomfortable. "Please don't tell Nathan." Emma nodded, understanding secrets all too well. Later that week, George offered to teach Emma. "The music's still in you," he said. "This old piano's free during my morning coffee break." Emma began playing again secretly during her volunteer hours. The familiar touch of the keys awakened within something she'd buried long ago. Meanwhile, Catherine Morrison watched the nursing home from her car, making notes. 10 years of investigating elder abuse cases had led her here. But time wasn't on her side. Her recent diagnosis gave her months, maybe a year. The Thompson case connects to Sunshine Haven somehow, she told her recorder. Nathan Reed's financial transactions. A wave of pain cut her off. Marcus started visiting Emma at the nursing home, much to Nathan's fury. "Why do you come here?" Emma asked him one day. "It's the only place Dad can't control," Marcus replied, helping her fold laundry. While reaching for a sheet, he knocked over a box of old photographs. One caught his eye, Nathan, much younger, standing with an unknown woman. That afternoon, Emma felt dizzy while serving lunch. George caught her before she fell. "You should see a doctor," he said, concern in his eyes. "I'm fine," Emma insisted, "just tired." Victoria appeared again, looking pale. "My grandmother's not doing well," she said, "and I need to tell you something." Before she could continue, Nathan stormed in. "What are you both doing here?" he demanded. His eyes landed on George at the piano. Something passed between the men. Recognition. Threat. "I'm selling this place," Nathan announced. "It's a waste of valuable real estate." The residents gathered in the hallway, worried faces peering from doorways. "You can't," Emma protested. "These people have nowhere else to go." "Watch me," Nathan smiled coldly. "I've already found investors. Speaking of which, we're hosting a charity gala next week. And you, my dear, will show our guests your true calling, serving others." Emma swayed slightly, that strange dizziness returning. George watched the scene unfold, his fingers resting on the piano keys. He'd waited years for the right moment. Nathan had destroyed his life once. He wouldn't let it happen to Emma. In her car outside, Catherine reviewed the nursing home's financial records. Something caught her eye. A connection between Thompson Pharmaceuticals and a series of suspicious deaths 10 years ago. "Got you," she whispered, then coughed violently into a tissue. Red spots appeared on the white paper. Time was running out for all of them. The truth about Nathan Reed's empire was about to unravel, and Sunshine Haven held the key to everything. Catherine sat in her doctor's office, staring at her test results. "How long?" 6 months, maybe 8 with treatment, the doctor said. "I'm sorry." She clutched her adoption records in her handbag. After years of searching, she'd finally found her birth family, only to discover she was Nathan Reed's sister. The irony wasn't lost on her. At Sunshine Haven, Victoria received her own devastating news over the phone. "High-risk pregnancy," she whispered, ending the call. "Possible complications." She watched Emma helping residents in the garden. How could she tell her? The truth about being the illegitimate daughter of Emma's father would destroy everything. Meanwhile, Emma discovered a box of her father's old research files in the mansion's attic. Inside, she found notes about a groundbreaking treatment for terminal illnesses. "Dad was close to something," she muttered, flipping through the pages. "Before he died." A knock interrupted her thoughts. George stood in the doorway. "We need to talk," he said, "about your husband and a stolen patent." In Catherine's office, papers covered her desk. Nathan Reed's first million, she told her recorder, came from a patent registered 6 months after the Thompsons' death. Original inventor, George Williams. George showed Emma the original research documents. "Your father funded my work. Nathan was just a consultant, but somehow he ended up with everything." "Why tell me now?" "Because he's doing it again. Sunshine Haven sits on land worth millions. The residents' trust funds." George stopped as footsteps approached. Marcus appeared holding old photographs. "Emma, look at these. Dad with some woman, 20 years ago." Catherine's adoption records showed the same woman, their birth mother. At Thompson Pharmaceuticals, Nathan faced angry investors. "Stocks dropping," one said. "These rumors about fraud." "It's handled," Nathan snapped, but his hands shook as he reached for his phone. An FBI agent watched the building from across the street. "Subject showing signs of stress," she reported. "Operation proceeding as planned." Emma felt dizzy again in the mansion's kitchen. Morning sickness. She hadn't told anyone about the pregnancy test yet. Marcus spent afternoons at Sunshine Haven, drawn to Victoria's friend Claire, who volunteered there. But today, he overheard Victoria's phone conversation. "Yes, I have the DNA results," Victoria whispered. "Thomas Thompson was my father." Marcus backed away, bumping into Catherine. "Sorry, He stopped, noticing her resemblance to his father. Catherine saw it too. The same eyes, the same chin. "Marcus," she said, "there's something you should know." But Nathan burst in before she could continue. "The gala preparations need review," he announced. "Emma, the cleaning service needs direction." "Nathan," George stepped forward. "Remember our last conversation about patents?" Nathan's face hardened. "Security, escort Mr. Williams out." "I kept records," George called as guards approached. Every conversation, every threat. Emma watched George leave, the research files heavy in her hands. Her father's last project, what had Nathan done with it? Catherine coughed in her car, reviewing her evidence, property deeds, medical records, death certificates, all connected, all leading to Nathan. Final recording, she spoke into her device. Nathan Reed's empire built on 3 things: stolen patents, elder fraud, and... She paused, adding, "my brother's cruelty." The gala was 2 days away. Emma still didn't know about Catherine's connection, Victoria's parentage, or the FBI investigation, but secrets were unraveling faster than Nathan could contain them. In the Sunshine Haven piano room, George played Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, his recorded conversations with Nathan locked safely away. The truth would come out soon enough. Victoria stared at her father's photo in Emma's old family album. Thomas Thompson's kind eyes matched her own. She'd found it while snooping through the mansion's library, looking for anything to protect her unborn child's future. "I should have known," she whispered, touching the photo. Her mother had worked as the Thompsons' housekeeper before Victoria was born. The timing fit perfectly. Down the hall, Catherine reviewed her medical file again. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. The irony of finding Nathan just as her time was running out wasn't lost on her. Her phone buzzed, a text from her FBI contact. Investment group pulling out of Reed Enterprises. Subject showing signs of instability. In his office, Nathan slammed down his phone. Another investor gone. He pulled out a USB drive containing George's recorded conversations. The old man had been smarter than he'd looked, recording every threat, every illegal deal. "Mr. Reed," his secretary interrupted. "The bank called about the gala funding." "Tell them they'll get their money." Nathan shouted. He needed this gala. Needed to show everyone he was still in control. At Sunshine Haven, Emma rushed to the bathroom for the 3rd time that morning. The pregnancy test had been positive, but she couldn't think about that now. Not with Nathan threatening to sell the nursing home. George watched her return, pale and shaking. "You should see a doctor," he said. "I'm fine." Emma forced a smile. "Help me understand these research notes instead." Before George could respond, Marcus burst in. "Emma, look what I found." He held out his birth certificate. Mother's name, blank. Father's name, unknown. Adoption date, 2 weeks after his birth. "Dad's been lying my whole life," Marcus said, his voice shaking. Catherine overheard from the hallway. Another piece of the puzzle clicking into place. Her brother's first victim had been his own son. Victoria entered through the back door, avoiding the main entrance. "Emma, we need to talk." But Emma was focused on her father's research papers. This treatment protocol, Nathan patented something similar right after Dad died. "Emma," Victoria tried again. "It's about your father." A commotion outside interrupted them. Nathan's voice carried through the halls. "The sale is final," he announced to the gathered residents. "Sunshine Haven closes after the gala." George stepped forward. "You can't do this, Nathan. I have proof of what you did with my patent." Nathan smiled coldly. "Proof? Like these recordings?" He held up the USB drive. "Amazing what security cameras catch these days, George, even in nursing home piano rooms." George paled, his backup evidence gone. Catherine watched from her car, coughing blood into a tissue. Her phone buzzed again. "FBI, subject secured incriminating evidence from Sunshine Haven. Move timeline forward." Emma felt the room spinning. Morning sickness or stress, she couldn't tell anymore. Victoria reached to steady her, their eyes meeting. In that moment, Victoria almost confessed everything. Her pregnancy, their shared father, the guilt eating her alive. Marcus studied his birth certificate again, then looked at Catherine through the window. They had the same chin, the same eyes. The truth hit him like a punch to the gut. Nathan surveyed the scene with growing satisfaction. "The gala will proceed as planned. Emma, the cleaning service needs your attention. After all, you've had so much practice here." But his victory was premature. Inside Emma's pocket, her father's research held the key to everything, including a handwritten note about his suspicions of being poisoned. "One more thing," Nathan added. "Anyone speaking to the press about Sunshine Haven's closure will face immediate legal action. I own your silence now." Catherine typed a quick message. "Green light the operation. Now." The pieces were set. The gala was tomorrow. No one would leave that party the same person who entered it. In the piano room, George played a quiet melody. The music carried through the halls of Sunshine Haven, a requiem for secrets about to explode. The mansion buzzed with preparation for the gala. Emma directed the cleaning staff, fighting waves of nausea. Her pregnancy test sat hidden in her uniform pocket, a secret among many that would soon explode. "Mrs. Reed," a caterer called. "Where should we set up the champagne fountain?" Before Emma could answer, Nathan appeared. "My wife isn't in charge of the gala. She's part of the cleaning staff tonight. Remember your place, Emma." Catherine arrived early, clutching a folder of documents. Her doctor's appointment that morning had been clear. The cancer had spread. 3 months left, at best. "Mrs. Reed," Catherine approached Emma. "Could we speak privately about Sunshine Haven's closure?" "She's busy," Nathan interrupted. "The bathrooms need attention, dear wife." Victoria entered through the side door, looking pale. Her doctor had called with concerns about her pregnancy. "Nathan, we need to talk." "Not now," he hissed, pulling her aside. "Everything must be perfect tonight." In the kitchen, Marcus helped Emma stock supplies. "I found more documents," he whispered. "About my adoption, and Catherine." A crash interrupted them. One of the elderly residents from Sunshine Haven had sneaked in through the service entrance. "Please," he begged Emma. "Don't let them close our home." Security dragged him out as Maestro Anderson arrived. The conductor stopped, staring at Emma. "It can't be," he muttered. "Sarah Thompson's daughter." Emma froze. No one had mentioned her mother's name in years. Nathan watched the scene unfold, his control slipping. Another investor had pulled out that morning. Everything hinged on tonight's wealthy donors. George entered next, despite the security list. "Nathan," he called out, "your wife should see these." He held up a stack of papers. "Remove him," Nathan ordered the guards, but not before George passed the papers to Catherine. "Your father's autopsy report," Catherine told Emma quietly. The toxicology results were altered. Emma's hands shook as she read. Traces of poison, gradually administered. The same symptoms her mother had shown. Victoria overheard everything, one hand on her stomach. The father she'd never known had been murdered by the father of her unborn child. Maestro Anderson approached Emma again. "Your mother was my best student," he said, "until she married Thomas Thompson and gave up her career. I should have helped her when—" He clutched his chest suddenly, gasping. "Call an ambulance," someone shouted. "No hospitals," Anderson wheezed. "Must tell about Sarah." Nathan seized the moment. "Everyone out. The gala starts in 2 hours. Emma, clean up this mess." Catherine retreated to her car, reviewing her evidence. The FBI would move tonight, but she needed more time. Her nose started bleeding again. Marcus found Claire, Victoria's friend, helping in the kitchen. Their eyes met, and for a moment, the chaos faded away. "The piano," Emma whispered, staring at her father's grand piano in the ballroom. That's where he kept important documents. But Nathan had thought of that. "The piano is being moved to storage," he announced. "Can't have it cluttering the ballroom." "No," Emma protested. Too late. Movers were already wrapping it. Victoria felt her first contraction. Too early. The baby wasn't due for months. The sun began to set. Guests would arrive soon. Nathan surveyed his mansion, unaware that his carefully constructed world was about to shatter. "One last thing," he told Emma. "When you serve drinks tonight, remember, you're nothing but the help. I made you and I can destroy you." Emma touched her father's research notes hidden in her pocket. She thought of the piano, of her parents, of Sunshine Haven. 10 years of humiliation crashed over her. The first guests were arriving. Catherine's FBI contact texted, "Team in position." Tonight would change everything. But no one knew exactly how much. The gala was in full swing when Nathan clinked his glass for attention. The mansion's ballroom filled with Boston's elite, while Emma moved silently between them, serving champagne. "Welcome, distinguished guests," Nathan announced. "Tonight we celebrate success and charity." "Speaking of charity," he smiled coldly at Emma. "My wife insists on working at that nursing home." Perhaps she'd like to entertain us? The crowd parted. The movers had left the grand piano, covered in the corner. Come, dear, Nathan gestured. Show everyone your true talents or lack thereof. Emma stopped, tray in hand. A decade of humiliation pressed down on her. I said play. Nathan's voice carried across the silent room. Suddenly, George Williams from Sunshine Haven collapsed near the piano. My heart, he gasped. Emma rushed to help him, but Nathan blocked her path. Let the real medical staff handle it. You're here to entertain. Victoria stepped forward, face pale. Nathan, please. She doubled over, clutching her stomach. The baby, she whispered. Blood stained her dress. Chaos erupted. Maestro Anderson pushed through the crowd. She needs help. I'm having chest pains too. The stress. Nathan's world spun out of control. 3 medical emergencies threatened his perfect evening. The piano waited uncovered. Play something, he shouted at Emma. Prove you're worth anything at all. Emma looked at George on the floor, Victoria bleeding, Anderson clutching his chest. She had to choose. Security will handle them. Nathan grabbed her arm. Play. Emma sat at the piano. The keys felt familiar under her fingers. She began Rachmaninoff's Concerto No. 2, her father's favorite. The music filled the room. Years of suppressed talent poured out. Even the paramedics stopped to listen as they entered. Catherine recorded everything on her phone, fighting back another coughing fit. The FBI team waited for her signal. That's impossible, Maestro Anderson whispered through his pain. Only Sarah Thompson could play like that. And her daughter. The truth hit him. You're Sarah's daughter, the prodigy, before Nathan. George was stabilized, watching Emma play. His evidence against Nathan might be gone, but this moment revealed everything. Victoria's bleeding worsened. Emma, she called out. I have to tell you, your father. Nathan moved to stop her, but Marcus blocked him. Let her talk, Dad. Let all the truth out. The music grew stronger. Emma played through her tears, through her morning sickness, through a decade of pain. Guests whispered, filming with their phones. Nathan Reed's wife, a hidden musical genius? Catherine's FBI contact texted, move in on signal. But Nathan wasn't finished. He stormed toward the piano. Enough, know your place. Emma kept playing. Each note defied him. Each chord told her story. George struggled to his feet. Play on, Emma. Show them who you really are. Victoria was lifted onto a stretcher, still reaching out. Emma, I'm your sister, Thomas Thompson, my father too. The music stopped. Emma turned, shocked. Nathan lunged for Victoria. Shut up, he yelled. Security. Maestro Anderson stepped between them, then collapsed completely. Sarah, he gasped. I should have saved her from him. 3 ambulances arrived. The gala dissolved into chaos. Phones recorded everything. Through it all, Emma remained at the piano. 10 years of silence broken by music. Nathan watched his carefully constructed world crumble, but worse was coming. Catherine stepped forward, medical files in hand. FBI agents appeared at every door. The night was far from over, and the piano had more secrets to reveal. The ballroom erupted in chaos. Emergency workers rushed to help George, Victoria, and Maestro Anderson, while party guests backed away, still recording on their phones. FBI, everyone stay where you are. Agents swarmed the room surrounding Nathan. Catherine stepped forward, her professional mask hiding her physical pain. Nathan Reed, I'm not just a lawyer investigating elder abuse. I'm your sister. The room went silent. Nathan's face drained of color. That's impossible, he stuttered. Our mother gave me up for adoption 30 years ago, Catherine continued. I have the DNA proof and evidence of every crime you've committed. George pushed away the paramedics, standing shakily. Including stealing my patent, the one that built your fortune. The recordings are gone, Nathan sneered. You have nothing. Wrong. George pulled out a hearing aid. This isn't just for hearing. Been recording everything for months. Victoria screamed from the stretcher. The baby. Something's wrong. Your grandchild, she told Emma through tears. I'm your half-sister. Thomas Thompson was my father too. Your father. Emma gripped the piano for support. Her sister, her father's child, carrying Nathan's baby. Marcus stepped between Nathan and the FBI agents. Is it true? About Catherine? About my adoption? Marcus, Catherine said gently, your real mother was Nathan's first victim. He took you from her, faked adoption papers. Nathan lunged for Catherine's medical files. Lies. All lies. Stop. Emma's voice cut through the chaos. Check inside the piano. Father always hid important documents there. Marcus ran to the piano before Nathan could stop him. Inside the bench, he found a hidden compartment. Got it. He pulled out a stack of yellowed papers. Nathan changed tactics. Emma, darling, think about what you're doing. I gave you everything. You took everything. Emma corrected. My parents, my music, my dignity, and you killed my father. An FBI agent read from the documents. Thomas Thompson's original toxicology report, traces of poison administered over months. The same poison showing up in nursing home deaths, Catherine added. All in facilities you acquired. Victoria's stretcher moved toward the door. Emma, the safe, behind the painting. More proof. Nathan broke free from the agents, running for his office. Marcus tackled him, sending them both crashing into a table. My whole life was a lie, Marcus shouted. Every word you ever said. The FBI agents restrained Nathan as Catherine unlocked the safe with numbers she'd seen him use. Inside, George's original patent, Thompson pharmaceutical documents, evidence of years of fraud. I built an empire, Nathan shouted as agents handcuffed him. I took what I deserved. No, Emma said quietly. You destroyed lives, starting with your own son. Emergency workers wheeled Victoria out. Emma tried to follow but stumbled. Morning sickness hit hard. Emma? Marcus caught her. Are you pregnant? She whispered. I just found out. Catherine swayed, coughing blood into her handkerchief. An FBI agent steadied her. Ma'am, you need medical attention. Not yet, Catherine insisted. One more thing. She handed Emma a final document. Your father's last letter, found it in the Thompson Company vault. Nathan watched his world collapse as agents led him toward the door. His final attempt at control shattered with the truth. But the night wasn't over. Through the chaos, smoke began seeping under the office door. Fire! Someone shouted. The sprinklers activated, drenching everything and everyone, including the evidence they'd just uncovered. Smoke filled the mansion as fire alarms blared. Nathan broke free in the confusion, running toward his office. Save the evidence. Catherine shouted over the chaos. FBI agents scrambled to protect the documents from water and smoke. Emma's phone rang. Emma! The fire spread to Sunshine Haven. George's voice crackled through static. The residents. Her heart stopped. The nursing home shared a connected wing with the mansion. Marcus, help evacuate the guests, Emma commanded. I'm going to Sunshine Haven. I'm coming with you, George insisted, still unsteady on his feet. As they ran through smoke-filled corridors, the sound of sirens grew louder outside. Help! Elderly voices called from behind doors. Emma and George worked quickly, guiding residents to safety. Each room held someone who'd given Emma purpose over the years. Meanwhile, Victoria's ambulance hadn't left yet. The baby's coming, the paramedic announced. We can't move her. Catherine found Nathan in his office, stuffing papers into his briefcase. It's over, brother. Nothing's over. He snarled, pulling out a gun. I'll destroy everything before I surrender. The fire spread faster. Smoke poured through air vents. Back at Sunshine Haven, Emma reached the last corridor. George, we need to check the basement. The research lab. George coughed. Your father's formulas? They found the hidden lab. Decades of Thompson research at risk. Emma, get out. George pushed her toward the door. I'll save the research. No, we go together. The ceiling creaked ominously above them. In Nathan's office, Catherine faced down his gun. Shoot me if you want. I'm dying anyway. Cancer. Just like the mother who gave me up. Nathan's hand shook. Mother died because she was weak. She died protecting us from our father's abuse, the same abuse you're continuing. The gun lowered slightly. Memories surfaced of a mother's bruised face, a father's rage. Marcus burst in. Dad, Victoria's having the baby. She's asking for you. Something broke in Nathan's expression. The gun clattered to the floor. Emma and George gathered crucial research files, fighting through thickening smoke. A beam crashed behind them. Go. George shoved Emma and the files through the door. I'll be right behind you. She stumbled out, clutching her father's life's work. Turning back, she saw George collapse. No, Emma ran back in. Firefighters arrived, battling the blaze. In the mansion's front hall, Victoria screamed in labor. Push, the paramedic urged. The baby's coming now. Nathan appeared, escorted by FBI agents. Victoria grabbed his hand. Our child deserves better than your legacy. Catherine watched the scene, her own time running short. Then she saw the lab research Emma had saved. These formulas, she studied them through failing vision. They're for treating advanced cancer. Emma dragged George toward safety as firefighters rushed past. Her father's research might save Catherine, but George wasn't breathing. "Please," Emma started CPR. "You can't die, not after everything." Marcus helped evacuate the last residents. Through the smoke, he saw Claire helping elderly patients. Their eyes met across the chaos. Nathan watched his son's gentleness, so different from his own cruelty. Victoria's grip tightened on his hand as their child entered the world. "It's a girl," the paramedic announced. A baby's cry pierced the night, while sirens wailed and fire devoured the mansion's west wing. George gasped suddenly, choking back to life. The research files were safe in Emma's arms. Catherine's nose started bleeding again, but she smiled. Her brother was in custody. The truth was out. Maybe her niece would have a better life. The fire illuminated them all. Family found and lost, secrets burned away, new life emerging from destruction's ashes. The morning news exploded with headlines. Reed empire crumbles, fraud, murder, family secrets exposed. Cell phone videos of Emma's piano performance and Nathan's arrest went viral. Emma sat in the hospital waiting room, still in her smoke-stained uniform. Around her, 3 dramas unfolded. Victoria and her newborn daughter in maternity, George recovering from smoke inhalation, and Catherine receiving her first treatment using Thomas Thompson's recovered research protocols. "Mrs. Reed?" A reporter approached. "About your father's murder." "No comments," Marcus stepped in, shielding Emma. More reporters gathered outside. The story was too sensational to ignore. A cruel millionaire exposed, a talented wife silenced, long-lost sisters reunited, a stolen medical breakthrough recovered. Nathan sat in his holding cell when his lawyer arrived. "It's worse than we thought. The FBI found offshore accounts, evidence of medical fraud, even recordings from nursing home residents who died mysteriously." "What are my options?" Nathan asked. "Cooperate or face life in prison? Your choice." In Catherine's treatment room, doctors reviewed Thomas Thompson's research. "This could revolutionize cancer treatment," one said. "Why was this hidden?" "Because Nathan Reed cared more about profit than saving lives," Catherine replied, watching the medication drip into her IV. Victoria cradled her newborn, tears falling. "I named her Sarah after your mother," she told Emma. "I hope that's okay." Emma touched her own stomach, still flat. "Our children will grow up knowing the whole truth." Investors fled Reed Enterprises. The stock plummeted. News channels aired specials about Nathan's crimes. Breaking news, a TV blared in the hospital lobby. Reed Enterprises CEO Nathan Reed to plead guilty to multiple charges. Sources say evidence of widespread fraud and medical negligence. George watched from his hospital bed. "Your father's research will help so many people," he told Emma. The truth finally came out. Marcus visited Nathan in jail. "I found my birth mother," he said through the glass. "She's been looking for me for 16 years. Nathan's facade cracked. "I thought I was protecting you from her addiction. I didn't know she got clean, built a new life." "You never gave her a chance," Marcus stood, "just like you never gave Emma a chance." The FBI completed their raid of Reed Enterprises. Evidence mounted. Forged documents, illegal drug trials, stolen patents. Catherine's doctor entered with new test results. "The treatment's working. The tumors are shrinking." Emma started crying. Her father's last gift might save her newfound aunt. Sunshine Haven's residents were temporarily relocated to a luxury hotel. Donations poured in after their story went public. "We're getting calls from all over the country," George told Emma. "People want to help rebuild." Victoria watched her daughter sleep. "I kept so many secrets, just like Nathan. I don't want Sarah growing up like that." The media camped outside the hospital, waiting for statements. Instead, they captured a moment no one expected. Nathan, escorted by guards for his arraignment, passed Victoria's room. Through the window, he saw his daughter. He stopped. "Guard," he said quietly, "I want to confess everything. No deals, no bargains, the whole truth." Emma found her father's letter in the saved research files. His last words finally reached her. "My dearest Emma, if you're reading this, my suspicions were right. Don't let them silence your music. Your mother and I always believed." She couldn't finish reading through her tears. Marcus spent hours with his birth mother, learning about his real history. Claire held his hand through it all. The press dubbed it the Reed scandal, but for those involved, it was about finally facing truth. Emma touched the keys of a hospital chapel piano. Her music had helped break Nathan's power. Now, it would help heal. 3 months after the scandal, Emma stood in the construction site of the new Sunshine Haven. Her pregnancy showed now a visible reminder of new beginnings. The Thompson Williams Medical Center. She read the blueprint title. "What do you think, George?" George nodded from his wheelchair. The fire had weakened him, but not his spirit. "Your father would be proud. A research hospital and nursing home combined." Catherine walked up, her hair growing back after successful treatment. The first trials of Dad's cancer protocol showed incredible results, 20 patients in remission. The sound of piano music drifted from the temporary shelter where Sunshine Haven's residents stayed. Marcus was teaching Claire basic chords while his birth mother watched proudly. "Mrs. Reed," a contractor approached. "The performance hall plans need your approval." Emma smiled. "Just Emma Thompson now. The divorce was finalized yesterday." In prison, Nathan watched the news coverage of his former empire's transformation. His full confession had shocked the nation. Decades of fraud, medical negligence, and manipulation. "Dad," Victoria visited with baby Sarah. The investigators found more of Mom's documents. She worked as a housekeeper for the Thompsons because she was looking for me, her daughter. Nathan pressed his hand against the visiting room glass. "I knew who you were the whole time. Used it to control you, like I controlled everyone." "Sarah needs to know better," Victoria said. "That's why I'm testifying at your sentencing." The FBI investigation expanded beyond Boston. Other nursing homes, other victims. Catherine led the legal team despite her ongoing treatment. "Your father's medicine saved my life," she told Emma during a treatment session. "Now we'll save others." Marcus and Claire organized music therapy sessions for former Sunshine Haven residents. His birth mother's addiction counseling experience helped design programs for healing through art. "Emma?" George called her to the piano. "Remember this?" He played the opening notes of Rachmaninoff's Concerto No. 2. Emma joined him, their duet filling the shelter with hope. Victoria started a support group for families affected by medical fraud. Baby Sarah grew stronger each day, free from the weight of secrets. "I found more of Dad's research," Emma told Catherine during a planning meeting. "Notes about experimental treatments we never knew existed." "Nathan hid anything that wouldn't make quick profits," Catherine replied. "That ends now." The media followed the story's evolution. "Reed's scandal leads to healthcare reform," headlines declared. Emma's piano performance video inspired other abuse survivors to speak out. Marcus received a letter from Nathan. "I never gave you or Emma the father you deserved. I became what I feared most, someone like my own father." In the shelter's common room, Emma felt her baby kick while playing piano. George watched her face light up. "You're glowing," he said, "just like your mother when she played." Construction crews worked double shifts to complete the new facility. Catherine's law firm handled legal transitions. Claire designed music therapy rooms. "We're not just rebuilding," Emma told reporters. "We're healing generations of damage." Victoria brought Sarah to the construction site. "Look," she told her daughter, "your grandfather's legacy, the real one." The Thompson Williams Medical Center would combine cutting-edge research with compassionate elder care. Music therapy, art programs, family counseling. Emma sat at the piano each evening, playing for residents, workers, and her unborn child. The music that helped expose truth would now help heal wounds. "Your mother would be proud," Maestro Anderson said during a visit. "You found your voice again." Nathan's sentencing approached. His confession cleared cold cases across the country. Other corporate frauds unraveled in the investigation's wake. Emma touched her growing belly. "We're building something new," she told her unborn child. "Something true." The future rose from ashes of the past, built not on lies, but on the healing power of truth. 1 year after the scandal, the Thompson Williams Medical Center prepared for its grand opening. The building gleamed in the morning sun, a testament to transformation. Inside the state-of-the-art performance hall, Emma rehearsed with the Sunshine Haven Orchestra, her 8-month pregnancy making it challenging to reach the piano pedals. "Take 5, everyone," she called to the elderly musicians. What had started as a small music therapy program had grown into something extraordinary. Former residents now played violins, cellos, and wind instruments with surprising skill. George watched from the conductor's podium. his health restored by Thomas Thompson's medical protocols. "Tonight will be special," he said, "a real tribute to healing." The opening gala would be different from Nathan's last party. No pretense, no cruelty, just celebration of second chances. Victoria arrived with 1-year-old Sarah, who crawled straight to the piano. "She's musical, just like her aunt," Victoria smiled. She had transformed too, now running the center's family support programs. "Mrs. Thompson?" A nurse interrupted. "Dr. Morrison needs you in the research wing." Catherine's office overlooked the garden where Marcus and Claire led morning music therapy sessions. Her cancer was in full remission, thanks to her brother's former father-in-law's research. "The latest trial results are extraordinary," Catherine said as Emma entered. 90% response rate in terminal patients. Dad's work is saving lives across the country." Emma touched the framed photo on Catherine's desk. Thomas and Sarah Thompson at their piano years ago. They'd be amazed to see this place. The center combined cutting-edge medical research with compassionate elder care. Art therapy studios, music rooms, and family counseling centers filled the building. The old Sunshine Haven residence had private rooms with pianos, easels, and windows overlooking healing gardens. Marcus and his birth mother counseled families dealing with addiction and fraud. Claire developed music programs for at-risk youth. Their wedding was planned for spring in the center's garden. "Emma?" An aide appeared. "There's a call from the prison." Nathan's voice sounded different after a year of incarceration. "I saw the news coverage about tonight's opening," he said. "The medical center, it's everything Thompson Pharmaceuticals should have been." "Yes," Emma replied simply. The anger had faded, replaced by something like pity. "Victoria brings Sarah to visit monthly," Nathan continued. "I'm trying to be the grandfather she deserves, the father I never was to Marcus." The afternoon brought final preparations. Residents practiced their instruments while medical staff prepared presentations on groundbreaking research. Catherine's legal team had helped draft new healthcare regulations inspired by the Reed case. "Look who's here," Victoria called. Maestro Anderson entered, supported by George. "I had to come," the conductor smiled. "Sarah Thompson's daughter opening a healing center with music at its heart? She's watching from heaven, applauding." Emma's baby kicked as if in response. The next generation, free from secrets and lies. The audience arrived for the evening gala. Unlike Nathan's party, these guests came to celebrate hope. Doctors, researchers, musicians, survivors of medical fraud, families touched by the Thompson protocols. George took the conductor's podium. Marcus and Claire seated elderly musicians with gentle care. Victoria held Sarah in the front row, while Catherine prepared to announce the center's latest medical breakthroughs. Emma's fingers found the piano keys. The same instrument that had exposed truth would now herald new beginnings. The Sunshine Haven Orchestra began playing, residents who'd found healing through music, accompanied by professional musicians who volunteered their time. Their performance of Rachmaninoff's Second Piano Concerto filled the hall with redemption's sound. During intermission, Catherine addressed the crowd. "1 year ago, truth shattered a corrupt empire. Today we build something stronger. Healing through music, medicine, and compassion." She announced a nationwide expansion of treatment centers using Thomas Thompson's protocols. "My brother's crimes exposed healthcare fraud across the country. Now we're fixing broken systems." Victoria introduced support programs for families affected by corporate fraud. Marcus and Claire shared success stories from their youth music initiative. George described research combining music therapy with cutting-edge treatments. In the prison viewing room, Nathan watched the live stream with other inmates. His daughter held Sarah up to wave at the camera. His son stood tall beside his birth mother. Emma played with all the passion her mother had possessed. The evening's highlight came when Emma premiered an original composition, Phoenix Rising, performed by the resident orchestra. As she played, her father's research saved lives in the medical wing. Art therapy rooms displayed resident paintings. Gardens offered meditation spaces. "This place represents the best of humanity," George told reporters, "how healing happens when truth and compassion meet." Baby Sarah crawled to the piano during the reception, pressing random keys. Victoria laughed. The next generation of Thompson musicians. Emma felt contractions start during the final piece. Catherine noticed her discomfort. "The baby's coming," Emma whispered. The audience burst into applause as she finished playing. Hours later, in the center's maternity wing, Emma held her daughter. Victoria brought Sarah to meet her new cousin. Catherine watched her nieces with tears of joy. "What's her name?" George asked softly. "Hope," Emma answered. "Hope Thompson." The night shift played gentle music in resident rooms. Marcus and Claire walked the gardens. Doctors reviewed promising research results. Truth had rebuilt what lies destroyed. 1 year had transformed victims into healers, pain into purpose, secrets into strength. The Thompson Williams Medical Center stood as proof that light could shine through darkness's cracks. In her hospital bed, Emma hummed a lullaby to hope. Down the hall, elderly residents played evening concerts in their rooms. In the research wing, Catherine's team prepared more life-saving treatments. The center would continue growing, healing, transforming lives. Music and medicine, art and truth, family and forgiveness, all working together to repair what greed had broken. Nathan's empire had fallen, but something far stronger rose in its place. Not power built on lies, but healing built on truth. Not control through fear, but strength through compassion. Emma looked at her newborn daughter, then out the window at the center's illuminated gardens. Somewhere, her parents were smiling. Their legacy lived on, not in patents or profits, but in lives touched, hearts healed, music played, and truth honored. The Thompson Williams Medical Center was more than a building. It was proof that even the deepest wounds could heal, that art and science together could restore what greed destroyed, that truth would always outlast lies. And in rooms throughout the center, healing happened through medicine, music, and the triumph of human spirit over human failings. The future was born, note by note, cure by cure, heart by heart. Hope Thompson slept peacefully in her mother's arms while piano music drifted through the halls, a lullaby for new beginnings. 1 month after the center's opening, Emma sat in the garden with both Hope and Sarah, watching residents tend to the healing gardens. The morning sun illuminated the center's motto carved above the entrance, "Where truth heals." A group of FBI agents toured the facility, studying its programs as a model for rehabilitating victims of corporate fraud. The agent who had led Nathan's investigation paused to watch an elderly resident painting sunflowers. "We've identified 20 more facilities involved in similar schemes," she told Catherine. "Your brother's confession opened a nationwide investigation." Catherine nodded, her health fully restored. Every exposed lie helps prevent future victims. In the prison library, Nathan started a program teaching financial literacy to inmates. His knowledge of corporate fraud now served to prevent it. Weekly letters to Marcus and Victoria showed slow but steady steps toward redemption. Claire's youth music program expanded to 3 more cities. Troubled teens found purpose in melody, just as Sunshine Haven's residents had. Marcus counseled children of incarcerated parents, turning his pain into others' healing. George's research, combining music therapy with traditional medicine, attracted international attention. Medical journals published studies about the Thompson-Williams Protocol, treating both body and soul through science and art. Victoria's support group for fraud survivors grew into a national network. Sarah took her first steps in the center's garden, toddling toward the sound of piano music. 2 generations of Thompson women, free from the weight of secrets. The center's success inspired similar facilities across the country. Emma received invitations to speak about medical fraud prevention and healing through arts. Her story of silenced talent and reclaimed voice resonated worldwide. Maestro Anderson moved his music education program to the center, teaching both residents and young students. The generation gap bridged through shared love of melody. On Hope's first birthday, Emma played a special concert. The resident orchestra accompanied her in Bach's Air on G-string, her father's favorite piece. As she played, babies received life-saving treatments developed from Thomas Thompson's research. Elderly residents painted in sun-filled studios. Former victims counseled new ones toward healing. The Thompson Williams Medical Center stood as testament to truth's power to heal, art's power to transform, and love's power to rebuild. Every note played, every cure found, every heart mended proved that light could emerge from darkness. In the end, Nathan's cruelty had unwittingly created something beautiful. His attempt to silence Emma's music had amplified it. His greed had led to unprecedented medical breakthroughs. His lies had ultimately served truth. Emma looked at Hope sleeping in her carrier beside the piano, Sarah playing nearby, and smiled. The next generation would know only truth, healing, and the power of using one's gifts to help others. The music played on, a symphony of second chances, while outside the center's walls, truth continued its quiet work of healing hearts, one note at a time. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. Was Emma right to forgive Nathan? What would you have done in her place? Subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories about redemption, justice, and the triumph of truth over deception. And remember, just like Emma's music, your voice deserves to be heard. Sometimes the greatest symphonies are born from silence.